Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott. You're in the Prog Corner, and today we're going to investigate a very peculiar phenomenon. What is with all the guitar players named Steve, man? It's crazy. Today I'm going to rank the top 20 guitar players named Steve. And there's a couple honorable mentions I want to throw in there. The great Steve Lynch, who was in that 80s glam metal band Autograph. He's the master of the tapper, the 8-finger tapping technique, just genius stuff. Steve Hunter, not going to be on the list. He was Bob Ezrin's go-to guitar player. In fact, the guitar solo on Train Kept a Rolling by Aerosmith is him. Stephen Malkmus from Pavement, I almost included him. And hey, if I was going to do a top 25, number 25 was going to be Steve Martin, but he don't play guitar, he plays banjo, so that's a bad idea. We're not doing that. At number 20, it's Steve Marriott from Small Faces and Humble Pie. Yeah, this guy was just an absolute genius. He had a whole bunch of famous fans. Ozzy Osbourne said he was the greatest singer he'd ever heard. David Bowie and Robert Plant were both big fans of him and his guitar playing and his singing. Just fantastic. He got himself into a little bit of a cocaine habit. He died in 1991. A terrible shame. At number 19, it's little Stevie Van Zandt. Yeah, dude, man, from Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band. Also appeared in The Sopranos. He wanted to be an actor. Great look, man. Just, this is a cat you wanted to see on stage. Very important. Young bands out there, your image does matter. At number 18, it's Steve Earl. Man, when his debut album dropped in 1986, I thought there was a chance I might actually become a country fan. Guitar Town was that good, man. I just absolutely adore that entire album. The title track, obviously, just fantastic. Steve Earl, at number 18. At number 17, here's one I'm really not that familiar with, but I'm telling you, everybody seems to mention Steve Cropper. He's a cat that was a guitar player for Booker T and the MGs. He also went on to perform in the Blues Brothers. He's won 2 Grammys. I know very little about him, but I've listened to some of his playing. Absolutely worthy of being on this list. At number 16, it's Steve Jones from the despised Sex Pistols. I love Sex Pistols. I think Steve Jones is brilliant. He actually played all the bass as well as the guitar on their one and only album. You knew that wasn't Sid Vicious. And I guess Glenn Matlock wasn't around. So it was Steve Jones doing all that. Just fantastic. I love him. I guess he's got a radio show now in LA. Fantastic. At number 15. Yeah, we're going to include variations of Steve. So we're going to do Steve, Stevie, Steven, Stefan, right? Here's Stephen Stills at number 15, man. The Buffalo Springfield man, obviously went on to help form Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And then he was also in a band called Manassas. Just an absolute genius. Yeah, he's gracing us with his presence on this list for sure. At number 14, it's Steve Clark, R.I.P. The great guitar wild man, was in Def Leppard for their first 4 albums, On Through the Night, High and Dry, Pyromania, and Hysteria. And I guess he was on a hiatus from the band, and he died, left us in 1991. A terrible loss, a great player. At number 13. How about Steve Gaines? This is one of those great what could have been stories. This cat joined Skynyrd in 76, played on their live album, then played on one studio album, Street Survivors, in 77, and then came the plane crash that took his life and several others. This guy could have been the greatest guitar player of all time. You just don't know how good this guy was, man. Just an absolute shame. We'll never know what could have been. At number 12, somebody you don't always think about as a guitar player, but Stevie Winwood has got to make this list, man. He plays more than just guitar. His voice is one of the best voices in the history of rock. His keyboard playing, he plays everything, man. He's just an absolute genius. Spencer Davis Group, Traffic, Blind Faith, and then all those great solo albums. Yeah, you know who he is. Stevie Winwood at number 12. At number 11, how about Steven Wilson? for the best guitar players named Steve. Yeah, we know all about Porcupine Tree and all the other stuff, No Man and Bass Communion and Storm Corrosion, all the solo stuff. Yeah, Steven Wilson absolutely deserves to be on this list. I think he's a great guitar player, and that's why he's at number 11 ahead of some heavy hitters, man. But now we're in the top 10, and this is where things get really good, man. At number 10, you could score this twice on your Scrabble score. It's Steve Stevens, man. A double header. You got two Steves in his name. He should have been number 1 on this list just for that. Of course, best known as Billy Idol's longtime guitar player. He wrote the Top Gun theme, which probably made him beaucoup money, but for me as a prog guy, I particularly love Steve Stevens for the 2 albums he did with Bozzio Levens and Stevens. In 1997, Black Light Syndrome came out, and in 2000, Situation Dangerous. Both are great albums and shows that Steve Stevens definitely has a prog heart, even if he did play with Vince Neil and Michael Jackson at number 9. How about Steve Miller? This is a guy who grew up in Milwaukee. Then I guess his parents moved down to Dallas. Then he moved back to Chicago. And then he moved to San Francisco. He was just trying to find himself. But those formative years in Milwaukee, very important because his dad was actually real good friends with Les Paul, and Les Paul used to come over for dinner and stuff, so that would have been a huge inspiration for a young Steve Miller. He was a blues guy in the beginning, but with the Steve Miller Band, he went on and released a whole bunch of records. You know who he is at number 8. It's Steve Rothery. Oh, man. The dude with the glorious tone, you just can't go wrong with anything he's playing on. Obviously, all those Marillion records are so much better because of Steve Rothery's guitar work. He did finally put out a solo album a few years back, The Ghost of Pripyat. Pretty good record, but Steve Rothery, oh my goodness gracious, what a guitar player, what a tone, what control he's got. Just dynamite. At number 7, it's Stevie Ray Vaughan, man. Yeah, we lost him in 1990, but not before your boy got to meet him. He was playing at a convention we had. I used to work for a chain of record stores, and we'd have our conventions at Hilton Head Island. And one year, Stevie Ray Vaughan played for us, and on the charter flight back, I actually sat next to him, and he was doing all kinds of drugs on that plane. We won't get into any details there. But 1983, Texas Flood. 1984, Couldn't Stand the Weather. Those 2 albums are fantastic. I just thought he was another blues player until I saw, like I said, when I saw him perform for us at the convention. That's when I realized he was so much more than just a blues player. He was like the best one ever. At number 6. How about Steve Lukather, the man who can play anything? This cat has been on over 1,500 albums. Well, no, Toto doesn't have 1,500 albums, but in total, all the session work he's done, just incredible. There's nothing this guy can't play, and he's a great social media follower. He's awesome on social media, annoying his neighbors, setting up Marshall stacks in the backyard and blasting it. It's awesome. He's won 5 Grammys, 3 with Toto. Steve Lukather, obviously deserving to be on this list. And at number 5, it's Steve Hillage. Oh, man, I'm a big Steve Hillage fan. I love his work with Gong. That one Con album, Space Shanty, just incredible. But his first 4 solo albums are really good too, man. Fish Rising from 75, L from 76, Motivation Radio from 77, and Green from 78. Just a phenomenal run. Steve Hillage, man, I seen him like back in 1980 or something. I don't even remember who he opened for, but he was getting booed, people throwing stuff at him. Really sad, but it was just amazing. At number 4, it's Steve Vai. Yeah, this cat came to prominence transposing Zappa's guitar parts, and if you can do that, there's probably not a whole lot you can't do. He has won 3 Grammys. I saw Steve Vai playing with David Lee Roth, which was a whole lot of fun. There were only like 50 people there, which is just insane. My dog's going insane. Oliver, come here. It's okay. Come on. Like 50, maybe 100 people were there. You had Billy Sheehan on bass. Steve Vai on guitar, and there were 50 people there. It was just ridiculous at number 3. It's Steve Morse, man. Oh, this guy can just do it all, from country to rock to bluegrass to jazz. There's nothing Steve Morse can't do. He started out with the Dixie Dregs, and then he joined Kansas. He was in Deep Purple forever. He's now in the Prog supergroup Flying Colors with Neil Morse and Mike Portnoy. Steve Morse. Yeah, you know what time it is. You know what I'm talking about. At number 2. It's Steve Hackett. Yeah, I'm going with Steve Hackett at number 2. And why not? I'm really excited. He just announced a new album dropping early next year. His first concept album in 48 years. So I'm excited about that. But Steve Hackett, man, he's still amazing. He still has it. Just an incredible musician. And the one guy who has kept the prog flames burning all these years, even when we thought prog was going to die, Steve Hackett wasn't going to let that happen, fools. And at number 1, for the top Steve, the top guitar playing Steve, it's Steve Howe, of course, telegraphing it, wearing the yes shirt. You know what time it is. Steve Howe's my number 1. Even though when I ranked my top 25 guitar players, I had Hackett at number 1. But you know what? That was just me trying to, listen to all different people and having different criteria. The criteria today was just what I felt like and how I felt like ranking them. Anyway, those are your top 20 Steves, man. Your boy's a little under the weather, so I doubt I'll be doing anything tomorrow. We'll see, though. You never know what happens. I got a little fever, a little cough. It's all right, though. We'll be fine. I'm tough. I don't really get sick. Anyway, peace in the Middle East. Free Tibet, and God save the king, save King Chucky, save King Charles III, he needs it. That son of a gun could use your saving. I'll see you freaks soon. Peace.